Welcome to your midweek favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Webo, and it sure feels good to be hosting you on today's August 23, 2023 edition of the program. Of course, we have so many papers for review this morning on this first segment of the program, talking of Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership, The Nation, THISDAY, Daily Sun, The Punch newspaper, Vanguard, and of course, The Guardian newspapers, all for review on this first segment of the program. As usual on the program, we like to start off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership is leading with the story on Defense Minister Service Chiefs get 1 year to end insecurity. Defense Minister Service Chiefs get 1 year to end insecurity. Our jobs are at stake, says Badaru. Troops arrest 39 over plateau attacks, other crimes. Tinubu will tackle humanitarian crisis with clear-cut policies. Better edu. Of course, I'll take the leading story once again on Leadership newspaper. Defense Minister Service Chiefs get 1 year to end insecurity. The story is on page 4 of Leadership, and the writers say, our jobs are at stake, says Badaru. Troops arrest 39 over plateau attacks, other crimes. Tinubu will tackle humanitarian crisis with clear-cut policies. Better edu. Because on the cover picture we have the picture of the governor of Edo State, Godwin Ebaseki, and as independent non-executive chairman of Seplat Energy, Basi Omiyi, during a courtesy call by some members of Seplat Energy board and management to the governor in Benin City. That's the picture story on Leadership. We have other stories gracing the cover today. No project will exceed 2 years, Umahi declares. Stories on page 7 of Leadership. Ultra victims in Pakistan, cable car rescued. Tinubu appoints Koka Odusote as NIMC DG. Above that, we have coup. AU suspends Niger, Abdusalami banks on diplomacy. Stories on page 7 of Leadership. And of course, the business news, we have manufacturers query effect of rising public debt on production. Above the masthead of Leadership, we have perform or leave Wike test FCDA management staff. Perform or leave Wike test FCDA management staff. UK police charge Zani Alison Madweke with bribery. From that cover page, we move over to the page 3 of the paper, where we have our stand. Our stand is the editorial of Leadership, the daily editorial. And on our stand today, we have a timely warning. And from that page 3, we move over to the back page of the paper, where we have guest column with Dr. Abubakar Akali. And his topic for his column is why Nigeria should not go to war with Niger. Why Nigeria should not go to war with Niger. You have to find out more on that as you log on to the website of Leadership. Before we leave Leadership, we have to take Ghana Must Go. Ghana Must Go is the humor for the day. UK government charges Dizani for bribery to appear in court October 2. That is the news. And of course, the reply is in her gold-plated bra. Only one you might say. For more on that, inside stories and continuation of headline stories, log on to the website of Leadership newspaper, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move over to the talking about security issues. We move over to the leading story on The Nation. The Nation says new twist in Niger crisis as Russian mercenaries arrive. New twist in Niger crisis as Russian mercenaries arrive. Wagner Group in Mali with arms, ammunition. Abdusalami raises dialogue hopes, briefs Tinubu. I'll take that again. New twist in Niger crisis as Russian mercenaries arrive. Wagner Group in Mali with arms, ammunition. Abdusalami raises dialogue hopes, briefs Tinubu. Beneath that, we have ministers zoom into action. Badaru demands action plan to end terrorism. Wike to directors, move on if you can't perform. Tunji Ojo, porous borders, passport scarcity must end. Umahi inspects Abuja Lokoja Road. Of course, obviously the ministers have hit the ground running. And on the strip, just beneath these stories, we have is September 7 for judgment in Shaibu of Baseki case. BRICS offers $10 billion loans. Above that, we move ahead and we have President names NIMC boss. Medical consultants serve 21 days strike notice. UK police charge Disani with bribe taking fraud. And in the boss, we have the alleged wrongdoings of Desani, taking £100,000 bribe in cash, access to chauffeur-driven cars, free seats on private jets, gift of luxury holidays for family, gift for payment of private school fees, gifts from top designer shops such as Cartier jewelry and Louis Vuitton goods. And of course, that's one is taking us to above the stories above the masthead, where we have government to curb rising inflation with cut in money supply. Federal government states council share 966.1 billion naira as July allocation. Stock exchange joins bid to boost forest availability. Dokubo Asari hails Tinubu on Niger Data Affairs Ministry. From the Nation newspaper for inside stories, with continuation of front headline stories, log on to the website of the Nation, www.thenationonlineng.net. From the Nation, we move over to the next paper on our menu talking about this day. This day says African Union suspends Niger may activate standby force. African Union suspends Niger may activate standby force. Warns non-African states Wagner Group against involvement. Abubakar meets Tinubu confident crisis won't deteriorate beyond diplomatic option. JAV condemns economic sanctions. I'll take that leading story on this day. Once again, African Union suspends Niger may activate standby force. Warns non-African states Wagner Group against involvement. Abubakar meets Tinubu confident crisis won't deteriorate beyond diplomatic action. JAV condemns economic sanctions. That is the leading story on this day. And above that, we have UK charges ex-petroleum minister Disani Alice Madueke with bribery offenses. British anti-crime agency provides evidence to US Department of Justice enabling recovery of $553.1 million assets linked to her. Says former minister allegedly benefited from at least £100,000 in cash. Chauffeur-driven cars, flights on private jets, luxury holidays for our family, use of multiple London properties. For more on that, just go to their page. It's a continuation on page 12 of the paper. We move briefly to the stories above the masthead. Agent calls for discipline in money supply as federal government states local government share 966.11 billion naira in July. Above that, we have to mitigate risk, preserve liquidity. CBN tells banks to stop granting foreign exchange secured naira overdrafts. Naira depreciates to 910 naira per dollar to $1 on parallel markets. 770 naira to $1 on I&E window. Nigerian Stock Exchange moves dollar-dominated bond listings. These are the stories on the cover of this day today. For more on that, inside stories and of course back news and back page and their editorial, log on to their website www.thisdaylive.com. On this day, we have Blueprint. Blueprint says, Badaru to service chiefs on insecurity. Give me timeline. I'll cross command channel to get results. Badaru to service chiefs on insecurity. Give me timeline. I'll cross command channel to get results. Says we can't afford to disappoint Nigerians. Military might alone won't guarantee stability. Matawale. Federal government will deploy more tech to secure borders. Tunji Ojo. That was the leading story on Blueprint. I'll take that again. Of course, it's also similar to one on Leadership newspaper. Badaru to service chiefs on insecurity. Give me timeline. I'll cross command channel to get results. Says we can't afford to disappoint Nigerians. Military might alone won't guarantee stability, according to Matawale. Federal government will deploy more tech to secure borders. Tunji Ojo. And of course, we have a book picture of Abdul Salami, former head of state, General Abdul Salami Abubakar, and ECOWAS President Omar Ali Toure Addressing State House correspondents after meeting with Chairman of ECOWAS, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday over Niger Republic crisis at State House. Well, beneath that, we have African Union suspends Niger over military coup. El-Rufai Fani Kayode caution ECOWAS on war option. UK police charge ex-petroleum minister Diziani Madueke with bribery. 274 bidders jostle for NYSC contracts. Pump price of fuel to reduce as global crude prices tumble. Above that, we have Commerce medical dental consultants threatening strike. Issue 21-day ultimatum. Federal government, states, local governments share 966.119 billion naira in July. Diaspora remittances diverted to unlicensed online firms, says APCON. For more on this, continuation of this editorial, inside stories, and of course back page, log on to the website of Blueprint, www.blueprint.ng. From Blueprint newspaper, the next paper for our review is Vanguard. Vanguard is on Niger, is a developing story. Niger, AU plans sanctions against junta supporters. AU plans sanctions against junta supporters. Wants impact assessment of ECOWAS force. Rejects interference by non-African states. Suspends Niger over coup. Abdusalami delivers military junta stems to ECOWAS. Says diplomacy will see the better of situation. Knows meeting with Niger junta fruitful. Suspected jihadists kill 12 Niger troops, says State TV. Power cuts in Niger threatening to spoil millions of vaccines as sanctions bite, UN says. Military intervention in Niger's war between brothers, El-Rufai warns ECOWAS. Military intervention in Niger's war between brothers, El-Rufai warns ECOWAS. Of course, we also have the same picture as that of Blueprint newspaper on the cover of Vanguard today. Picture of Abdusalami and the ECOWAS president. And we have stories. Tinubu sends NIMC boss on terminal leave. Railway vandalism. NSCDC arrest 13. Impounds railings. Sleepers worth 0.8 billion. That is 800 million naira. We move over to the masthead, above the masthead of Vanguard, where we have gas flaring. Nigeria loses 34.1 billion naira as oil firms flare 12.7 MSCF. 34 years after Obaseki settles late Ambrose Ali's benefits, releases 1.3 billion naira for monarchs. UK police charges ex-petroleum minister Alison Madueke with bribery. Tribunal dismisses petition seeking to nullify Reps Deputy Speaker's election. Wike to FCT officials, wahala don't come, I'll increase your BP. For more on that, log on to the website of Vanguard, www.vanguardngr.com, and of course for also inside pages, inside news pages, and the editorial. From Vanguard, the Punch is next for review this morning. The Punch says anger at state's warehouse rise. Delay palliatives sharing. Anger at state's warehouse rice. Delay palliatives sharing. Bono distributes rice to 400,000 households. Workers lament hunger. Demand relief. Labor insists $5 billion not enoug. Gombe promises workers 10,000 naira. Anambra 12,000 naira. Because we have pictures of Borno State Governor Bagana Zulum during the distribution of food palliatives to 3,000 vulnerable residents of the state in Maisandari ward of Maiduguri Metropolitan Council to reduce the hardships posed by the removal of fuel subsidy in Borno State on Tuesday. Beneath that pictorial news, we have Kano communities demand probe of abandoned federal government road. Kano communities demand probe of abandoned federal government roads. Stories on page 27 of the Punch. Associates mourn slain senators' aide. Demand killer soldiers arrest. Reps condemn abduction of core members in Zamfara. The stories on page 10 of the Punch. We move up just above the masthead where we have Niger. AU plans fresh sanctions. Abdusalami warns against war. Federal government states local governments share 966 billion naira July revenue. EFCC mom as Disney faces bribery charge in UK. These are the leading stories on the Punch newspaper today. For more stories, for more on that, inside stories, editorial back page, log on to the website of the Punch, www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we move over to the next paper on our menu. I almost said last. Incidentally, it's not the last. It's actually second to the last. And that is The Guardian. The Guardian says federal government ignores 17-year-old concession fee debts, renews terminal leases. Federal government ignores 17-year-old concession fee debts, renews terminal leases. This is an investigation exclusive actually by The Guardian. The story is on page 6 of the paper. SS crude accounts down to $474,000 as federal government orders shared 966 billion naira in July. SS crude accounts down to $474,000 as federal government orders share 966 billion naira in July. And beneath the stories, we have African Union suspends Niger Republic, mounts pressure on coup leaders. Tinubu retires NIMC boss, OK's Koka Odusote as acting DG. UK police arraign Disani October 2 for bribery, recover $53 million assets. Made in Nigeria phones another good idea of execution. That's the editorial on page 2. On page 12 of The Guardian. How rising unemployment orders worsen school dropout rates. For more on these inside stories and the back page, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. And from The Guardian, we'll move over to the last paper on our menu today, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun newspaper is leading with a story on Desani Madueke, and it says EFCC kills mom as Desani faces bribery charges in UK. Ex-minister to be arraigned on October 2 over multi-million pounds contract mess. Defense minister pledges strong defense apparatus to counter security threats. 8 killed as rival bandit groups clash in Benue. Troops arrest 39 suspects over banditry attack on Plateau community. Other crimes. Umahi assumes office, vows to introduce concrete road construction nationwide. FACC revenue rose to 1.746 trillion naira in July. Shares 966.110 billion naira to federal government, states, local government areas. Imo Guba, Mahmoud crowd roots for Labour Party candidate, will be confident of party's victory. Says Labour Party will take over government in states as in Abia. Abdusalami briefs Tinubu on outcome of talks with Niger junta. Abdusalami briefs Tinubu on outcome of talks with Niger junta. Of course, just before we go, there's another story just beside the masthead of Daily Sun. We have 3,495 Nigerians kidnapped in 11 months. 3,495 Nigerians kidnapped in 11 months. Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger records highest cases. On this, we've come to the end of the paper review in this first segment of the program. My name is Winifred Webo, and of course, for the second segment, I have my midweek guest who is actually waiting in virtual to throw more lights on the headline stories today. Don't go away. Stay tuned. segment of the program on Inside Nigeria, your favorite program, breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Weber once again, and of course, I have my midweek guest in the house. Of course, he's not in the house, he's joining us virtual. Jide Ojo is a triple title chief, as I always want to introduce him. He's a syndicated columnist, a TV host, and a TV host, a syndicated columnist, and a public affairs analyst. Jide Ojo is actually here. Good morning. You are now on the other side. Good to have you on today's program.
Good morning, Winifred. I hope you are doing great.
Yeah, but the visibility is not so clear. Where are you? Where are you from? Where are you joining us from? Because your face is not so clear.
Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria. Maybe it's your
Okay.
Maybe it's your IT people that needs to do something about that.
Okay, I want to welcome you once again to the program, and I will. There's a story that is making the runs, especially on the cover of Leadership today, and Blueprint and Leadership have similar story, and the story on the defense minister service chiefs get 1 year to end insecurity, and of course we are having an administration that is actually giving the giving timeline. And that is the same thing we also virtually also have on Blueprint newspaper. Badari to service chiefs on insecurity. Give me timeline. I'll cross command channel to get results. Leadership says they have been given 1 year to end insecurity. What do you have to say about that? At least this administration is giving timeline.
Well, I don't know who gave that timeline. To the best of my knowledge, there has not been any job description or terms of reference, or maybe after they were inaugurated, yes, they said they were going to collect their appointment letter in the Office of Secretary to the federal government. Maybe that's why. But I think Badaru was just speaking about his own personal conviction together with Matawali. And talk is cheap. How do you want to end banditry and insurgency in 1 year? What magic do you intend to perform? Let's not deceive ourselves. The challenge is very gargantuan. And the resources to do this job is not readily available. You look at do we actually need 2 ministers of defense when we have Office of National Security Advisor, when we have over 20 security agencies, all of whom are drawing from the budget of defense and security? And how can you ensure effective policing of this country? The budget of Ministry of Police Affairs and that of Ministry of Defense put together is not up to 1 trillion. And we know the value of Naira today in the market. Most of the military hardware are procured from abroad. We do not have the expertise to produce many of these arms and ammunition in this country. So even to buy, the price at which we were buying under Buhari administration is not the same as you will buy equipment under the Tinubu administration. And this is what should be a challenge, that we need to look at homegrown technology. What can we do different that will bring us better results? Just last week, Winifred, we lost 36 men in Niger State who were ambushed by the bandits. And we also lost an helicopter. And this helicopter cost millions to procure, one. So I'm not sharing in that optimism that we will be able to overcome the security challenges in the next 1 year. Peradventure, we can see significant improvements if there is commitment, if there is sufficient manpower, if we can infuse the use of technology. Look at someone like the president of North Korea. North Korea is testing intercontinental ballistic missile North Korea is, producing a lot of military hardware. But in Nigeria, DICOM or DICOM in Kaduna has been comatose. That we cannot even produce revolver or AK-47. All these are imported from Russia, from Czech Republic, and all of that. And where is the money to do the procurement? Under Buhari, we spent $1 billion between 2017 and 2023. Apart from that $1 billion was extra budgetary spending. We still had worsening security. You just read that between in the last 6 months that we had about 3,000 kidnap cases, over 3,000 kidnap cases in just 3 or 4 states. So the situation, I hope, can improve, but we need to do a lot better than what we are doing now. We need to infuse the use of technology in the fight against criminality. What is happening to us deploying drones to know the precise position of these bandits? What is happening with CCTV? What is happening with our high-tech surveillance cameras that they call something eye in the sky? And satellite, we launch Sat-1, Sat-2 in the orbit. What has been the benefit of having those Sat-1, Sat-2 in the orbit? How much assistance and support has that given our security agencies? We've been doing NIMC, NIN registration. How has that been useful in the fight against security? We have done BVN. We have done so many registrations. So I think we need to have a more holistic view of fighting security.
Yes.
Police and military needs to work hand in hand. They need to work together. We need to use technology to fight this issue. Because even if you have 1 million personnel, the way we are losing our military and police to bandits is alarming. I just gave you an example of 36 in one first swoop in Niger State last week who were ambushed. There was a major, a captain, and other ranks that were murdered in that ambush. So what I'm saying invariably is that 1 year to see the end of insurgency is quite optimistic. I pray it happens, but if wishes were horses, they say beggars will ride. I just wish that we wake up from our dreams.
Yes, thank you so much, Jide. You know what you just said, what you analyze is actually what is Matawali, the Minister of State for Defense, actually captured when he said one of the writers on Blueprint's leading story. He said military might alone won't guarantee stability. Now, Jide, I want to ask you, what about the security agencies? Are they still working hand in hand together? Because we've seen a situation whereby there has been so much how do you call it? They have been working at different angles. They are not working in alignment. Like for instance, what about the issue of DSS? DSS is more, the impact of DSS is more felt in EFCC. It's actually doing EFCC's work instead of helping to gather intelligence on all these security issues and give it to, of course, feed it to the other ones that can actually actualize it, talking about the military, even the soldiers and even the police. So what do you want to see about the synergy of all our security agencies? What do you want to say about that? Because like a guest pointed out that DSS is now doing EFCC's work instead of doing what it's supposed to do.
Winifred, that's why we have the Office of National Security Advisor. His work is to coordinate all of these agencies. And from what I learned, we have about 21 agencies that are involved in security architecture. There is DIA, there is NIA, there is DSS, there is NSCDC, then even the customs, the immigration, they are all part of the security architecture.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that talk is, unfortunately, for me, as I said in my column in the Punch today, I do not see the value of having two ministers in Ministry of Defense. That's just dissipation of energy and resources. Because the Minister of Defense is just an administrative head. The operational lead is for defense staff, chief of army, chief of air, chief of navy, and then the national security advisor. Because it's from the budget of Ministry of Defense that you give the navy, the army, the air force, the DSS, and all of them. They are all a part of the security architecture. So what do you need two people? And I won. These two gentlemen are former governors.
Yes, yeah.
I hope there will be no.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
No ego problem. I hope there will be no ego problem, because this posting relationship always happen between minister and minister of state. So will Matawale be humble enough to say, Badar will take the lead? Or will he want to show off that, look, we are both former governors and we are both ministers?
Exactly.
Forget about me being ministers. What is there? Power tussle and ego tripping.
Yes.
So I hope we can deal with that and focus on, because the other challenge I foresee, Winifred, is how do you ensure that this ministry is well resourced? You need billions, in fact, you need trillions to be able to effectively fund any operations, which is why Nigerians are saying we do not need to go to war with Niger Republic.
Yes.
We do not have the resources. We do not have the wherewithal. We are owing heavily. Just last week, we just borrowed $3 billion from Afrexim Bank to be able to show up the value of our naira. So, who will bankroll a military operations in Niger Republic, for instance? Who is going to back? Is it the ECOWAS? Is it the African Union? Is it the UN? And in ECOWAS, Nigeria is always the lead. We are the highest funder of ECOWAS. And I don't see how we will have our own troubles at home and we'll be helping other people to settle their own crisis elsewhere. So the challenge is the resources. Would these gentlemen in the Ministry of Defense have the sufficient resources to be impactful in that position?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, talking about, you just mentioned Niger. That was a leading question that I was going to also ask you for your thoughts there. Now, but it seems like ECOWAS is hell-bent on, sorry to use the word, to have a military intervention in Niger against the intention of other Nigerians, especially the North. Now, what is going to happen? Because the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the chairman of ECOWAS. So what is going to play out at the end of the day? Because we have seen that AU has already said they were also using put his military on alert in that Niger, in that territory. And while ECOWAS is also doing the same thing against the intentions, against the views of other Nigerians. What is going to happen? Because non-indigenous, non-northerners, other tribes or people from other ethnic zones that are living in the north are already jittery that should the federal government go ahead to attack Niger, they may also be at risk. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I listened to Abdul Salami Abubakar yesterday evening. He was saying that he does not hope that it will get to the level in which we will attack another country. And just yesterday too, recall that El Rufai made a tweet
Yes, I said
where
no.
he said, fighting against the Republic is fighting another brother, a brother from another mother. So the Northerners generally do not support, particularly those in the frontline states of the 7 states that shares border with Niger
With
Republic.
Niger.
We need to counter our cost because there will definitely a full-blown war against Niger Republic will lead to a refugee problem, and we have 300,000 Nigerians purportedly living
Already living in the IDPs.
in the refugee camp, in refugee camps in Niger Republic. So a full-blown war can lead to Nigeria being on the receiving end of refugee challenge. So who will be funding them? Where is the resources? Is it the Western countries that will put down the resources to fight in Niger Republic? I think we should fully explore opportunity of diplomatic and political solutions. And like I said, elder statesman Abdulsalami Abubakar said he is very hopeful that the problem will be solved through diplomacy, and that he is very sure that diplomacy will not fail. So I think it's just to serve as a deterrent, and that ECOWAS is still threatening to
Yes,
wage
I said
war in Niger
Niger.
Republic. They do not have all the wherewithal for a full-blown war. And aside from that, yesterday news came out that African Union has also suspended Niger Republic. And with the sanctions that has come from African Union, I think the noose is gradually tightening on the neck of the hunter in Niger Republic, because as it is now, we learned reliably that the cutting of electricity is starting to hurt the economy of Niger.
Niger.
Most of their vaccines are now going bad because they cannot be refrigerated. And Niger is a country that has depended solely, or not solely, majorly on aid, international aid. So if all those countries that are giving support, like European countries, EU, and even Germany, Canada, US, France, if all of them stop the aid, the hunter will not even have money to run the economy. They will not have money to run, and the people will gather and mobilize against them. So I think it's just early in the day. This could happen on July 26th. So it's just barely a month. I believe in the course of the couple of weeks' time, we'll start seeing the biting effect of those economic sanctions, and that will turn the heat on the hunter, and then make them to possibly allow for the reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum. So, but it's a catch-22 situation we found ourselves, particularly ECOWAS. You do not want to condone military intervention, but at the same time, you are also limited by virtue of your own economic challenges to be able to do anything more. Because as it were now, many Nigerian businessmen that are doing business with Niger Republic are hurting. They are losing billions.
Exactly.
Many of even the price of commodities in Nigeria that is skyrocketing is as a result of grains that could not come in from Niger. You know, grains such as beans, sorghum, millet, rice, that we get from even albasa, pepper, and all of that. Some of the things we consume in Nigeria are actually procured from Niger Republic, including ram, cattle, camel. Many of these are procured from Niger Republic. So it's hurting both sides. And I just hope that we will intensify diplomacy, and we hope that political solution will be found. Because even if we go into war, every war still ends at the negotiation table. Look at
German.
how Sudan has been in migration in the last 2, 3 months, and the country has ceased to be a stable country politically. Thousands of lives have been lost in Sudan now. But even when that crisis will be resolved, it will still be in a conference, or it will still be through negotiation. So I think we should just ensure that we explore all political
Diplomatic
solutions, all
means.
diplomatic options fully explored. I do not support any military action in Niger, except except a precise military action that will not hurt ordinary Nigerian and that will not lead to full-blown war. You know, let me give you what I mean. In Afghanistan last year, US deployed a drone to kill the number two, second in command to Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
After intelligence gathering over the years,
Mm.
they just deployed that to, they know when the man comes out in the evening to take fresh air in
It was so
Afghanistan.
precise.
They just deployed. Yeah, it was very precise. It just took out the man, and there was no fuss, no fuss about it. So unless you are able to do something like that, that will not lead to full-blown war, in which case the hunter in Niger will get the message that time is up. Let them reinstate the elected leader of the country. And you can see they roll out 3 years transition program. What do they want to do in 3 years? Even if they want to run an election in that 3 years, they will still depend on the international community to fund the logistics of that election. Niger is the poorest country in the world. They depend on aid, 90%
Yes.
on aid. And so it may seem like all those economic sanctions is not working in the immediate period, but like I said, it's still early in the days. By the time it gets to the second, third, fourth month, and they could not pay salary, they cannot get imports, they are landlocked. Remember, so, Niger Republic is landlocked. It doesn't have any access to the sea. So it will be very difficult for it to even engage in international trade. But to say, I just hope that good reason will prevail ultimately.
All right, thank you so much for your thought there. Now, another story that I want you to be throwing light on your views on is the story of Dizani Madueke. The story broke out yesterday, and of course, many Nigerians were like, why now, after 8 years of Buhari's administration? The UK police arraigned Dezani October 2 for bribery, recover $53 million assets. What do you have to say about that? And out of the blues, something that we weren't expecting is something that Buhari's 8-year administration was fixated on trying Dezani for corruption charges, and now it's coming from UK, which actually did nothing over time. At the time, we heard that the federal government under Buhari's administration was trying to extradite Dezani to come and answer for her corruption charges, which did not come to fruition. Now this. Did they? Are you hearing me? Wow, we're experiencing some technical hitches there. Yes.
Who was investigated and eventually jailed in UK. I think Dezani will go to jail in UK because these people have taken time to articulate those charges against her, and I do not see the likelihood of her getting off the hook. But it may even pay her to go to jail in UK than to be extradited back to Nigeria
To Nigeria.
and be sent to the Nigerian jail, because she won't find it funny here. She will not find it funny here. So we wait to see. They said she's going to face the charges on October 2nd or thereabout. So she still has some time. And you can see her glowing on TV yesterday. Somebody, they said, had cancer and was almost dying. We don't know whether that was propaganda meant to save her. But we saw her on TV yesterday. She was radiantly beautiful. But again, the presumption is that she's innocent until she's convicted. So let's hope that she will be able to prove her innocence in UK. Otherwise, she will join Ike Kweremadu in prison there, and it will be a very sad one.
But you know,
I made an inference on an earlier.
The allegations leveled against her was kind of taking about it's only 100,000 pounds that the UK could say that she took as bribe. 100,000 pounds only.
Well, that's what they can prove. They didn't want to go on wild goose chase. I recall that most of the thefts allegedly leveled against her were those things done in Nigeria. And she even had the audacity to file suit against the FCC that her property should not be foreclosed and auctioned. But again, it's not about even the amount that she was alleged to have stolen or abused. It's about if she's convicted, that means that will be the end of her public service. If she's convicted, she will continually wear the toga of an ex-convict on her. So it doesn't matter whether she's even sentenced to 1 day in prison or she's given an option of fine. An ex-convict is an ex-convict. Recall what happened with the case of Toyo Kupe, who was the DG of Labour Party last year. When he was convicted, I think they gave him option of fine of 3 million naira to pay. And he paid that 3 million, but he had to drop out of being the DG of
Labour Party
because it's an ex-convict. So conviction does not mean because you should go to 50 years in jail. Even 1 hour in jail, even if you pay fine, you are still an ex-convict. That's why today, James Ibori cannot contest for any public office, no matter how popular he is, unless he's granted state pardon, like the case of Joshua Darie and Reverend Jolly Yemen of Taraba State. If after her conviction, she's given a state pardon, she may come back to public service. But it leaves a sore taste in the mouth. Did you know that because of her abuse of office in Nigeria, peradventure, that's why no other president have had the confidence to appoint a substantive minister of petroleum resources. Buhari did not. Buhari gave himself that portfolio, and obviously Tinubu is also
doing
acting like
he's doing the same
going
part.
to be the minister of petroleum. And
I think it
that's
started
also
from
the part that was told.
Obasanjo started it.
Obasanjo, yes, Obasanjo. So it started from Obasanjo. So what I'm saying is that the case of Desani Alice leaves a sore taste in the mouth. And it's an indictment on womanhood, because people are making reference to say, look, we made one of you a super minister, and look at what she did with abuse of office. But again, that is neither here nor there, because we have found more men abusing their office than you have women abusing their office. And you can say that someone like Obiese Kwesili, Ukoje Ruela, even the immediate past Minister of Finance, did very well in their respective portfolios. So we cannot use Zani's case to indict womenhood or women in politics or women in governance. But we still presume her innocent until she's convicted. So let's see what happens ultimately.
All right. Thank you so much for your presence in today's program, though you are on the other side, virtual. It's been a pleasure to have you on today's program. Jide Ojo is a syndicated columnist, a TV host, and a public affairs analyst. For the sake of our viewers, I look forward to having you same time next week on our program. Thank you. Bye.
My pleasure. Do have a great week.
You too. So, viewers, this is where we end today's program, Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ubebo, and of course, same time, same station. Tomorrow is another day. I look forward to see you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You